Alright, so in this video, I want to talk about how to read a character's resonance liberation, forte circuit, resonance skill, and how to use that to kind of see how to play a character. I'm not talking about the strongest rotation of a character in this video, but just how to read it and how to get an idea of how to play the character. And sometimes I think this is going to help out because I know we all go to YouTube and we find the strongest rotation. We find guys who tell us how to play the character and we just basically do what they say. And it's a lot easier than going through this. However, if you really take your time and look at it, it's not really that hard. There's a lot of different things in there that you need to know, but at the same time, you're not going to use every single thing that the character has. So let's get into it. And I want to start with Jinxie. She is a character that I play a lot. I got her ranked out pretty high, and we all know she's one of the strongest characters in the game. So let's take a look at her resonance skill. I have a resonance skill at 10, forte circuit at 10, resonance liberation at 9. But if you don't know, the resonance skill is performed with the E key on your keyboard, just to let you know. And this is if you have everything set to default, and if you're a keyboard player like myself. So let's go ahead and get into it. Have a look at this. This is overflowing radiance. So after Jinxie uses basic attack 4, or while not in incarnation, intro skill, and alternative resonance skill, overflowing radiance, is available within 5 seconds. So basically what this is saying, you can perform basic attacks with your character by left clicking with your mouse. Get to basic attack 4, you're basically looking at clicking left click 4 times, and that gives you 4 basic attacks. And after that 4th basic attack, it's telling you that an alternative resonance skill, the E key on your keyboard, overflowing radiance, is available within 5 seconds. And it tells you a little bit more. Overflowing radiance inflicts spectral damage. And this is what you need to look at the end. You press that key, the E key, for overflowing radiance, it sends Jinxie into incarnation. And what you have to see is that all characters have different states that they're in. While they're in a different state, their attacks are different. They perform a different animation, and they have different characteristics to that attack also. So now that we see that sends Jinxie into incarnation is how the resonance skill ends, let's look at the forte circuit. As soon as you go through the forte circuit, you see while in incarnation. So that's how you see how the resonance skill and the forte circuit work together. This also gives you a little bit of insight of how to rank up, like what takes priority: resonance skill, forte circuit, resonance liberation, intro skill, and normal attack. Because we don't all have the ability to just max the characters out as soon as they come out. So that kind of gives you some insight also. Go back to what we're reading. So while in incarnation, while she's in this state, she has an alternative basic attack, and that becomes available. So perform up to 4 consecutive strikes dealing spectral damage, considered as resonance skill damage. The basic attack cycle would not be reset and can be cast in midair. And now you have to look at while you're in incarnation state, you have an alternative resonance skill. So this means that the E key on your keyboard is going to give you a different animation, a different attack with different characteristics than when you're not in the incarnation state. And I'll show you how to tell the difference. And they make it very obvious to the characters once you play them a little. And you kind of get the feel for it. So let's look at this. Alternative resonance skill, Crescent Divinity, becomes available. You have an alternative heavy attack, which is done by holding down the left click of your mouse. Just hold it down to perform a heavy attack. And you have an alternative dodge, which is called the incarnation dodge, which you do by right clicking with your mouse. And if you right click and dodge, if you left click immediately, you get a dodge counter. You have an incarnation dodge counter also. And this is all while in the incarnation state. But also, now what you have to really look at, you have resonance skill, Illuminous Epiphany. After stage 4 of incarnation basic attack, incarnation terminates and Jinxie gains ordination glow. And it says you can be cast in midair. So again, we have incarnation, we have basic attack, stage 4, which is basically another 4 more basic attacks while in incarnation state. Then she gains Ordination Glow. And while Ordination Glow lasts, she has her basic attack is replaced with Incarnation Heavy Attack. Resonant Skill is replaced with Illuminous Epiphany. It sends out a solar flare that detonates as Stellar Glamour. And you know, it's highlighted. There's a lot of different names out here, but you really just have to look at the attacks and I'll show you more. It's a lot of words, it's a lot of wording, but it's not really that bad. And it says consumes up to 50 incandescence, but you know, it's a damage multiplier, which is good because that's telling you you're going to get more damage. But after casting Resonant Skill, Illuminous Epiphany, Jinxie gains Unison. What this is, saying it can be triggered every 25 seconds. So Unison, while Jinxie has Unison, switching to other resonators will remove Jinxie's Unison to trigger Jinxie's outro skill. And if you don't know that to trigger an outro skill in your partner's characters or one of your teammates' intro skill, you have to have your concerto energy full. And what this is saying is while she has Unison, instead of consuming all of her concerto energy, she will just consume Unison. So when you bring her back in, she will have full concerto energy and you can trigger another intro and outro skill very quickly with her. So I'm going to show you this and just kind of give you an idea of how this kind of works together. Even though it's a lot of words, it's a lot, but it's not really that bad once you play her. So with that being said, let's go and look at a video and I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. All right, so now we're going to go through the basic rotation that takes her into the different states. So first thing I want to show you, I'm going to do 4 basic attacks. And now you can see how the E skill or the resonant skill is glowing. This is when overflowing radiance is available. So now I'm going to press the E key on my keyboard, performing the resonant skill to send her into incarnation state. Now she's in an incarnation state. You can see she's basically in midair. And then you can kind of see this. Basically, this is how you know that she's in incarnation state. And now I'm going to show you the alternative heavy attack, the alternate heavy attack, and also the alternate E skill that you have while in incarnation state. All right, that's the heavy attack, and that's the E skill. That's the alternate E skill and heavy attack, the different attacks, different animations that you have in the incarnation state. So now I'm going to do the basic attack 4 basic attacks. That's going to make Illuminous Epiphany available. And then I'm going to show you that. There's the 4 basic attacks. And this is when you know that you've triggered Illuminous Epiphany. Basically, you'll see the E key is glowing again. And I press the resonant skill and this animation comes up. And this is the solar flare that's being sent out that detonates on your opponent. So this is kind of all of the words in action. And there are ways to get more damage, of course, but now she's going to be in unison. And now to show you the unison in a little bit different ways, how to look at the wording, how you can play her to get into different states differently. Let's go to fight the Mech Abomination. So now I want to tell you basically before we get into it, concerto energy, how to look at it. What I'm looking at here, you see this yellow circle at the bottom left of the screen. This is your concerto energy, and every character has a different color, but it's all the same. It's a circle that you have to fill by doing different things like attacks, E skills, dodge counters. All of these things builds your concerto energy. And when you trigger an outro and intro skill, you will consume all of that concerto energy and it will become empty again, and you have to refill it to actually perform another intro or outro skill. So that's what I wanted to let you know before I kind of show you how Jinxie can get around this. So all right, so now that you know what that is, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of action because I can show you. how to do this. All right, so this time we're going to get into the incarnation state. If you remember, when we were reading through the resonance skill, after you perform 4 basic attacks, overflowing radiance becomes available. But there was also the ability that says after an intro skill, that overflowing radiance becomes available. So this time I'm going to trigger the intro skill of Jinsi by building up the concerto energy of the Shorekeeper. And that's going to allow, as soon as Jinsi performs an intro skill, you're going to see that the E skill, the resonance skill, is going to be glowing, letting you know that overflowing radiance is available right away. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's build her up so I can get the intro skill available. And you're going to see that Jinsi is going to be pulsating on the right as soon as her concerto energy becomes full. All right, so she's pulsating. And now I perform the intro skill by basically just changing to the character, pressing 3, which represents Jinsi. And you can see as soon as I press 3 for her intro, the E skill is already glowing, letting you know the overflowing radiance is available. No 4 basic attacks, just the intro skill. So as soon as she comes in, I'm going to press the resonance skill, the E key on my keyboard, and that's going to send me into incarnation state. All right, now 4 basic attacks. And there you have it, Luminous Epiphany. And now this time I want you to look at her concerto energy, how it's full. So remember how she's in unison after performing this attack, the Luminous Epiphany resonance skill. So now, where normally when I trigger someone else's intro skill and Jinsi's outro skill, you would consume all of this concerto energy. Well, I'm going to switch into a character, then I'm going to switch back to Jinsi to show you that it's still full. All right, and there you have it. The concerto energy is still full. You can see that the gauge has not been empty when I perform the intro skill for Rover. So just to let you know, that's just a small tip, something that most people probably know or you might not know, but if you read through the skills or you read through the description for the resonance skill, the forte circuit, it kind of lets you know that this is something that you can use for Jinsi. Helps you with your rotations. And also, I'm going to show you later on how you can use it to trigger Shorekeeper's abilities also. So hey, thank you guys for watching. If there's anything else you want to know or anything you would like to have a video on, just drop me a line and let me know what you think about this. All right, thank you guys, and keep grinding.